Hello, YouTube divers. This is WaterEye 122, and I want to welcome you all to another episode of Magic Metal Mondays. So today we're going to be doing another album ranking, but instead of a band, we're going to be ranking my top 10 favorite power metal albums. So power metal is it's pretty well documented at this point. It is my favorite metal subgenre. It's the subgenre of metal that I know the most, and it has a lot of my all-time favorite bands, and by default, some of my all-time favorite records. This was, I know I say this a lot, but this was probably the most difficult list I've ever had to do at this point, because there are so many amazing power metal albums. Just from the bands that I've heard on this channel. And for context, and yes, I did the math, I've listened to over 200 records in this genre. That and symphonic metal, but about a good chunk, like I would say 90% of those records are in the power metal genre. It's more than 200 records, almost 250. So yeah, it may be a small sample size on paper, but it's a lot of albums. And as a result, this just makes my job of ranking these albums that much more difficult. Okay, got that out of the way. So, usually this list will be one record per band, though there will be an exception. I'll get into that in a little bit, but enough yammering. Let's get into the ranking. So coming in at number 10, we've got Crimson Thunder by HammerFall, released in 2002. I know I haven't really talked much about HammerFall on this channel ever since they dropped Avenged of the Fallen back in, I think it was 2024? Yeah, did an album review for that. Love that album, but Crimson Thunder has always been my favorite HammerFall album. It is just stacked with amazing songs from top to bottom, but what really makes this album stand out for me is the production. This is one of the best sounding power metal albums ever made, in my opinion. I really love the guitar tone on this album. I really love how the drums sound on this album, and of course Joachim Cans delivers his best vocal performance ever with HammerFall anyway. And HammerFall have a lot of great albums, but Crimson Thunder has always stood out to me. The Holy Trinity of HammerFall is on here with Riders of the Storm, the title track, and Hearts on Fire. The latter of which is probably my new favorite HammerFall song, if I'm being totally honest. I adore that track. But then you have other tracks like Lore of the Arcane, Trailblazers. Trailblazers in particular is super duper catchy. And then two amazing ballads with Dreams Come True and Heroes Return. Both of those ballads are fantastic, and you know I'm a sucker for HammerFall ballads. They have so many good ballads. But yeah, overall, I've always loved Crimson Thunder. It was like really one of the very first power metal albums outside of Helloween's discography that I really, really loved. And yeah, what can I say? Crimson Thunder is a masterpiece. All these albums are masterpieces, by the way, so yeah, here we go. So next up at number 9, we're going to be talking about an album that I got into extremely recently. We're going to be talking about The Great War by Sabaton, released in 2019. I talked about this album pretty significantly in my Sabaton rankings, so if you want to get more of my deeper thoughts on that particular album, then by all means, go and watch that video. But yeah, The Great War. If you're a history buff like me and you love Sabaton, you'll love this album. It's all about World War I history, all about all stories that took place during the First World War. Devil Dogs, Seven Pillars of Wisdom, 82nd All the Way, and my favorite Sabaton song of all time, Fields of Verdun. I adore all of these tracks. So many great songs on this album. It is just super duper hard to choose favorites because every single song is just consistently awesome. And I think Sabaton has one of the most consistent power metal discographies. I mean, discographies in all of power metal. And they don't really have a bad album. Like, I could have easily put The Art of War on this list, but no, The Great War comes in here. It's my favorite power metal album to come out in the last decade. Easily. And, yeah, it comes in here at number 9. Well done, Sabaton. Alright, now we're moving on to number 8. And this is another album from another band I got into relatively recently. We're going to be talking about Destiny by Stratovarius, released in 1998. So 1998 was a golden year for power metal, both in America and in Europe, especially in Europe. And spoiler alert, this will not be the last time you see a power metal album from 1998 on this list. So just getting that out of the way. But Destiny is absolutely one of the best power metal albums to come out from that year. And this was really in the middle of the golden era for Stratovarius. They had just released Visions the year before, and then the year before that they had Episode, which is my second favorite from the band. And then they would go on to release Infinite and the Elements duology, which I think are, all three of those records are bangers. But Destiny, right in the middle of that golden era, and in my opinion, this was the band's peak. In songwriting and production, especially, this album just sounds massive. Timo Kotipelto's vocals are just on another level on here, as is Timo Tolkki's guitar playing. The title track, Destiny, and Anthem of the World are two of the band's best epic songs. Years Go By is a very nice ballad. No Turning Back and SOS are both amazing power metal numbers. And then, of course, 4,000 Rainy Nights, one of the greatest ballads ever written. This song just gives me the chills every single time, especially in that chorus. Oh, that song is heaven on earth. What more can I say? Destiny, masterpiece of an album from a band who just consistently puts out fantastic albums. So yeah, Stratovarius' Destiny comes in here at number 8. Number 7, this one might be a little bit shocking to longtime viewers of this channel, but number 7, I'm going with Hall of the Mountain King by Savatage, released in 1987. Yeah, so this album has to still remain in my top 10. This is, in my opinion, the best album, the best US-style power metal album ever made. And you'll find out why in a minute. But yeah, this has always been one of my favorite power metal albums of all time, and it'll definitely remain as one of my favorite power metal albums. I could put on this record right now and just be in for a great time. 24 Hours Ago, Beyond the Doors of the Dark, the title track, Hall of the Mountain King, Devastation, Strange Wings, the whole 9 yards. It is just ferocious American power metal through and through. And really the first, I would really consider this album to be the first big American power metal record to come out of the early 80s. I know there were a few bands that around this time that were experimenting with heavier styles of power metal, mainly here in the US. But there was no band back in those days like Savatage, and really there hasn't been a band like Savatage since. I love this album. Monstrous guitar work from Chris Oliva, monstrous vocals from John Oliva. The band is just firing on all cylinders. It has to be in my top 10. Just has to be. Hall of the Mountain King comes in here at number 7. So next up, we've got another album from 1998. We're going to be talking about Rhapsody of Fire's Symphony of Enchanted Lands. I really cannot think of another power metal album that literally transitions you into another world than what Rhapsody of Fire did on Symphony of Enchanted Lands. of course, this is a band that is highly known for their phantasmical storytelling and, um, wizards and dragons and whatnot. The whole the whole power metal cliche at this point. But Symphony of Enchanted Lands is like in my opinion, the only record out of all of theirs that literally put me into that fantasy world that they were singing about. And it's a feeling like no other. Of course, this album had to be on my list. Emerald Sword, Wisdom of the Kings, Dark Tower of Abyss, the title track, Symphony of Enchanted Lands. Oh boy, this album is majestic. That's the best word I can describe it. It's just majestic. I love this album. And it's, again, this is where the band really locked in. Luca Turilli delivers probably his best work yet. Fabio Leone, just masterful vocal performance. The orchestration really stands out. The choir vocals. This, again, like with Stratovarius' Destiny, this album just sounds massive in every aspect of the word massive. This album absolutely rules. I love this album. Now we're moving on to number 5. And we're going to stay in 1998 and be talking about Blind Guardian's Nightfall in Middle-earth. How could this not be on my list? This record, you want to talk about a band's peak? Nightfall in Middle-earth is that for Blind Guardian, in my opinion. Well, then again, I don't really know if Blind Guardian have a peak, because Blind Guardian just consistently makes so many awesome albums, to the point where I think they don't have a bad song in their whole discography. But Nightfall in Middle-earth, in my opinion, is where the band peaked, songwriting-wise and production-wise, and storytelling-wise especially. Hansi Kirsch, amazing vocal performance on here. Andre Ulbruch delivers amazing guitar solos, and their songwriting chemistry on this album is just out of this world. I mean, you have Nightfall, my favorite Blind Guardian song. Time Stands Still at the Iron Hill. Blood Tears. Thorns. Mirror Mirror. Oh my gosh. This album is just jam-packed with bangers. And it is on the longer side. I will say that. But not a single second is wasted, in my opinion. I adore this album. But it's only here at number 5. What? Oh, boy. So now we're going to get into the next batch of records. And number 3 and number 4 really were alternating positions for me. But as painful as it was for me to put number 4 a little bit lower, I had to do it. So number 4 is Ecliptica, the debut album from Sonata Arctica, released in 1999. I mean, longtime viewers of this channel know how much I adore this album. I've talked about it to death. And every single time I bring it up, I just want to stop the video and listen to this freaking record. I love every single song. Blank File, Eighth Commandment, Kingdom for a Heart, Picturing the Past, my favorite Sonata Arctica song, Full Moon, Letter to Dana, Destruction Preventer, and even the bonus track, Mary Lou, mainly the original power metal version, though the acoustic version is good too. But yeah, this album is stacked. It's still my favorite debut album of all time, but it's only my 4th favorite power metal album of all time. I really wanted to put this record higher, but there's another album that overtook it. So let's find out what it is. Number 3, I've got Karma by Kamelot, released in 2001. Yeah. So Karma and Ecliptica were kind of going back and forth. And given the day, I might have them flipped, but both albums are masterpieces. But with Karma, I've just been jamming it more lately. I never get tired of this album. Roy Khan's ethereal vocals are on full display here, as is Thomas Youngblood's guitar playing and the keyboards. I mean, again, like with Ecliptica, I've just talked about Karma to death on this channel. I mean, Forever, my favorite Kamelot song. Wings of Despair, The Light I Shine on You. Don't You Cry. Probably the best ballad I've ever heard, or it's up there. It's darn near close. The Elizabeth epic. Oh my gosh, this album, the title track as well. This album just never gets old. It's, again, like with Ecliptica, I just want to stop the video and play it right now. It's that good. But yeah, it's only here at number 3. And I think y'all know which albums are going to be my number 2 and number 1. And earlier in the video, I hinted that all the bands all the albums are just going to be like one album per band. This is the exception. Number 2 and number 1 are Keeper of the Seven Keys, parts 1 and 2, by Helloween, released in 1987 and 88, respectively. I've said this multiple times, but I cannot choose between the two. I will say, I do like part 1 a little bit more. Part 1 is my number 1, and part 2 is my number 2. But given the day, both of these albums could easily be interchangeable, because I liked part 2 for a long time, but now I like part 1 more, if that makes sense. But yeah, I cannot leave either of these albums out of the top 10. I can't. These were the 2 records that got me into power metal. I would not be a power metal fan without either of these records, and really without Helloween for that matter. And both of these albums pretty much defined my taste in heavy metal music, really. So yeah, both of these albums take the top 2 spots. I mean, but if you look at the track lists all across both of these albums, on part 1 you have Twilight of the Gods, I Am Alive, A Little Time, Tale That Wasn't Right, Future World, and the masterpiece epic that is Helloween, which is also my favorite Helloween song. And then in part 2 part 2 continues the goodness with Eagle Fly Free, I Want Out, The Keeper of the Seven Keys magnum opus, Dr. Stein, You Always Walk Alone, and March of Time. All those songs are masterpieces. Both of these albums are the crown jewel of power metal. And if you look at these albums objectively, you know, power metal would not be what it is today without these 2 records. And also Walls of Jericho as well. Gotta throw that in there. But yeah, both these albums are amazing. I love these albums, and I love Helloween. So yeah, those are my top 10 favorite power metal albums. Thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is WaterDive122 signing out. Ready to dive into more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.